This might be a hot take, but you definitely do not need to spend hours doing cardio every single week in order to get that aesthetic, feminine looking and toned physique. You also do not need to go to the gym 7 days a week just to run yourself into the ground and end up like a sweaty mess in order to see results. Because you know this already, but let me remind you again that that girl version of yourself, she does not live on the Stairmaster or the treadmill. She trains with intention because she is done with the all or nothing cycle and running herself into the ground with workouts that never produce results. She trains with intensity, she has a plan, and today we are going to build that plan for you. I'm going to run you through the step-by-step process to help you build your That Girl gym routine that is not only going to get you toned and lean and feeling empowered for summer, but that is going to give you results that are going to last you all year round. This is going to be the workout routine that you're actually going to want to stick to and never fall off track of. Oh, and by the way, in case we haven't met yet, my name is Heini and I am your favorite no BS wellness coach, and welcome back to week 2 of becoming that girl version of yourself before summer. Last week we have discussed nutrition and how to fuel your body in order to get results, drop body fat, lean out without the restriction, because that girl version of yourself doesn't crash diet only 2 weeks before her holiday. She fuels her body and she eats in order to get lean in a sustainable way, not just a temporary way. And this week across all of my socials, which by the way you can check out in the description, we are talking all about how to create your That Girl gym plan for yourself in order to get you toned, not just for summer, as I said, but to keep you lean all year round. So make sure that you check out my posts. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's episode of the Ambitiously Aligned podcast. First things first, let's just bust a little myth here. Because I feel like so many women grow up thinking that more is always better. And from a very young age, we are told that we have to shrink, that we have to be small, that we have to be dainty. And we are told to move more and eat less, not fuel our body, and to do cardio only because lifting weights is going to make you bulky. But here's the thing. It doesn't. Honestly, trust me, I have been trying for years to get bulky because I was a competitive bodybuilder. And when I tell you that it just doesn't work that way, it just doesn't, okay? You can be strong, you can be empowered, and you can also be feminine. And lifting weights is definitely not going to get you bulky, but what it's going to help you do is it's going to allow you to build curves where you want them to be, and it's also going to help balance your hormones and boost your metabolism. Now that we have established that lifting weights is key for you to tone up, it is also super important for me to mention that you do not have to lift weights every single day of the week, okay? You're actually going to be doing more damage to yourself if you lift every day than if you didn't and if you rested. So we want to make sure that we create a sustainable routine for you that you can actually stick to and that fits into your lifestyle. Because working harder and working more doesn't necessarily help you get results. It will leave you burnt out, it will leave you miserable, and your body is just not going to be able to recover from all of your training sessions, which is a really, really important aspect of you getting results, okay? Recovery is just as important as putting in the work. So we have to make sure that we also take rest days and that we come up with a plan that your body can recover from and that you actually enjoy. Because your body will not thrive if your workouts are just a form of punishment. We have to go at it a little bit differently from a point of self-love and wanting to get stronger, wanting to feel better in our skin, and wanting to feel more empowered. So now that we have looked at what not to do, let's look at what sustainable training actually looks like. Your That Girl routine shouldn't only look good, but also feel good. It shouldn't feel like a second job that you have to do. It should feel like something that you get to do. It should feel like as it's a part of your self-care routine. Because when it comes to training, it really should be all about self-care. That girl does not punish herself with her workouts. That girl literally goes out and gets it because she enjoys feeling powerful. And even on the days when she doesn't feel like doing her workout, she does it anyways because she knows it's going to make her feel better, not to punish herself. So when it comes to creating your sustainable That Girl gym plan, what you want to look at is making sure that it has structure, but it's also flexible because you want to build it around your life. Trying to fit into a box that is not meant for you and that you cannot fit into because of your commitments in life is ultimately going to run you into the ground. You're going to feel feel miserable, you're going to feel burnt out, and then there is no point in doing it anyways, right? So let's look at how we can make it sustainable. How can we make sure that you can adapt it? So if something comes up during the week that deters you from going to the gym, you can literally just like reschedule your workouts very, very easily, and you can adapt to every single given situation. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to your workouts, what will matter the most is consistency, not perfection. Your workouts and your routine should be built for your lifestyle, not some fantasy schedule, because you are not a robot, okay? You have emotions, you have a life, and if fitness is the only thing that you do in your life, and if that drives every single thing that you do, if that is the only thing that's on your mind, then it is not going to be sustainable. After a while, you are literally going to get bored, you are going to get burnt out, and I'm talking from firsthand experience. This has happened to me. For years and years and years, I was a bodybuilder. I was focusing on bodybuilding goals, literally scheduling my whole life around the gym, whole life around nutrition. And what it did is the moment that I realized what I was doing to myself was not productive and stopped and dialed things back, I got lost. I was burnt out. I lost my love for it. And that is exactly what I don't want to happen to you. I want to make sure that you actually can stick to this for the rest of your life. Because the biggest shift that helped me get back into consistency and get me to fall back in love with my gym routine was not coming up with a perfect workout plan or a picture perfect routine or a Pinterest-like exercise plan. What helped me the most is finding what worked for me and worked for my schedule, and looking at my actual priorities, looking at my actual life, what I needed to do, what I wanted to do, and going from there, building out my new routine based around my lifestyle, not basing my whole lifestyle on my gym routine. Because your training should support your energy, it should support your lifestyle, and it should support your hormones. It should be focused on progress rather than perfection. It should be focused on getting you stronger, making you feel more empowered, and it should seamlessly fit into your routine no matter what happens. So here's exactly the step-by-step process that I would recommend you use in order to build out your That Goal gym routine that I've also used for myself when I have decided to take a step back from bodybuilding, lost my love for the training for a long time, and then rebuilt my routine from the ground up. First things first, we are going to start with your real life. How does your schedule look like? What are your commitments looking like at the moment? Start from there. Create a schedule for yourself of your life commitments first. Not the gym, forget about it for now. Literally just focus on what are your life commitments. How much time do you spend at work? When are you at work? I would recommend literally taking out your Google Calendar or Apple Calendar and scheduling those times in. So time blocking all of your appointments, all of your work hours, all of your girls' nights, date nights, anything that is fixed into your week at the moment, and then take a realistic and very objective look at your schedule. Where can you find some time, maybe 45 to 60 minutes in your week, 3 to 4 times a week, maybe maximum 5 times, where you can go to the gym? Is it before work? Is it after work? If you do it after work, are you seriously, realistically going to be able to commit to it? Because some of us, if we schedule our workouts after work, including myself, we just know that it's not gonna get done. So make sure that you're super realistic with this. Pick out 3 to maximum 5 slots in your week where you can realistically commit to going to the gym and block those times out. You do not need 6 sessions a week, okay? You do not need to do 7 workouts. You do not need to do that. If you can commit to 3 to 4 or 5 times to go to the gym, so be it. Make that your priority and block it out in your calendar. And once you have picked out the times that you're going to be able to commit to going to the gym, let's look at how to actually build out your workouts. We are going to start with choosing your training split. And I want you to keep in mind what body parts you want to work on bringing up. So what are the body parts that you want to build up, you want to create more shape in? Because when it comes to strength training, we need to make sure that we focus on those areas that we want to build. It is a myth that you can spot reduce body fat. So if at the moment you're trying to drop body fat, training your abs is not going to help you lean out in your core. Super important that you choose your training split depending on what you want to achieve. So if you want to get toned and if you want to get that hourglass shape, I would recommend focusing on your glutes, your legs, your shoulders, and your back mostly, and then adding in some extra little bits and pieces here and there with regards to exercise selection, which we are going to talk about in a moment. But first, let's just choose that split for you. A couple of 3-day-a-week examples that I can give for you is doing full body 3 times per week, doing maybe legs, upper body, and full body, or maybe having a split of a glute focused leg day, an upper body session, and a leg focused leg day, obviously depending on what areas that you want to focus on. If you can commit to 4 workouts per week, a really easy split to start with could be potentially doing legs, upper, or doing glutes, upper body, hamstrings, and quads, or doing some sort of a mix of these, focusing again on what areas you want to build up. The way I personally like to run my workout split is I can commit to realistically 4 workouts as a bare minimum, and I have a 5th one as an extra if I have extra time for it. My workout split, just to give you an example of what this can look like, at the moment is glutes and shoulders, then I have quads, then I have upper body, and then I have a hamstrings and glutes session and an optional 5th upper body session. Because at the moment I'm trying to build up my glutes, I'm trying to build up my legs, and I still want to keep my shoulders nice and capped, because building up your shoulders and your back and also your glutes is what creates that optical illusion of a hourglass body. So focus on the areas that you want to build up and that you need to build up in order to see the results that you want to see. And once you have chosen your split, let's move on to step number 3, which is building out your actual workouts. Now, when it comes to your workouts, let me just bust a little myth over here. You do not need to confuse your muscles. Okay, your muscles do not have a brain. They do not have to be confused. Your muscles need progressive overload. If you want to see progress, if you want to tone up, the best thing that you can do for yourself is to come up with a gym routine that you can stick to for at least 8 to 16 weeks. And the reason why this is so important is because if you just put in the repetitions and you get stronger, you improve your form, you increase the amount of reps that you are doing in your workouts, your muscles are going to grow. But if you constantly confuse your muscles by doing random exercises, random workouts that you find on TikTok, you're never going to see the results that you want to see. And I know that it sounds boring and I know that it sounds repetitive, but this is literally where all of your progress lies. So when it comes to building out your workouts, once you have chosen your split, make sure that you choose exercises that you actually enjoy. And the way you want to structure your workouts, and this is the easiest way to go about it, is depending on your time, choosing 1 to 2 compound lifts. So any kind of like exercise that uses more joints. This can include squats, deadlifts, lat pull downs, shoulder presses, hip thrusts, etc., etc. Next, you want to choose 1 to 2 single limb exercises, again, focusing on the body parts that you want to bring up. This can include single arm lateral raises, single arm rows. It can also include Bulgarian split squats. And then once you have chosen your compounds and your single limb exercises, just to create balance, obviously, because we want to make sure that we don't just train our body, we train for balance. We want to move on to choosing 1 to 3 isolation exercises. These include only one muscle group being trained, moving from one joint only. So for example, leg curls, leg extensions, bicep curls are all isolation exercises. Same thing goes with abductions, adductions, etc., etc. Just choose 1 to 3 of these, depending again on your time available. Now, if you do not have a lot of time to spend in the gym, I would recommend choosing 4 exercises, 2 compounds, 1 single limb, and 1 isolation. But if you have a little bit more time, you can choose a little bit more exercises. Just try to keep it to the bare minimum, because doing more than 6 exercises within one training session does not mean that you're going to see more results. So you want to basically choose the things that are actually going to give you results, that you enjoy doing, and that you feel a good mind to muscle connection in, so you feel it in the right muscles. And also, we need to make sure that we can maintain that intensity, right? Because we don't just want to half-ass all of our workouts. We want to make sure that we are putting in our work and that we're coming out knowing that we did everything that we had within us in order to get results. Now, if you need some inspiration inspiration with regards to your split or what kind of workouts to do, you can head to the description below and I will attach my Hourglass Body workout plan that I have created specifically to help you get a snatched waist and round glutes. So make sure that you check that out if you need a little bit of help or if you want some inspiration. But if you would rather do it on your own and you need a little bit of help, you can also reach out to me in the comments or you can drop me a message on Instagram. And once you have built out your workouts, now it's time to actually implement it. So now you have already blocked out the time when you're going to be working out, you have chosen your workout split that you're going to follow for the next 8 to 16 weeks, and you have chosen the exercises within your workouts. Now it's time to start implementing it. And that brings us to step number 4, which is training with intention and intensity. So when it comes to your workouts, as I said, you don't just want to half-ass your workouts. You actually want to make sure that you're getting the most out of them. And the way that you're going to make that possible isn't by just going to the gym and going through the motions, but by actually putting intention behind every single thing that you do. A mistake that I see a lot of women make when it comes to their workouts is that they head to the gym and they just go through their workouts without actually training anywhere close to failure. They only go until it burns, or they only go until they get bored, and they set maybe time limits and time ranges for themselves to do every single exercise instead of being strategic about the sets and the amount of reps that they do and being strategic about their intensity when they are training. So let's look at how to actually choose the reps and the sets that you're going to do and how to actually put intensity behind your training sessions. First things first, when it comes to choosing the amount of sets and the amount of reps that you're going to do, what I would recommend is to do 2 to 4 sets maximum of all of your exercises. Ideally, you want to do like 2 to 3, but if you have, for example, hip thrusts in there and you want to work more on your glutes, do 4 sets if your body can handle it, and choose a rep range that you can do with intensity until mechanical failure every single set. For me personally, I prefer lower rep ranges. So I prefer to keep my reps with most of my compound exercises between 6 to 12. So most of the time I set myself rep ranges of 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12. And this is something that I also do with all of my clients. They follow a very, very similar training routine and training structure. But if you are the kind of person who does better with higher rep exercises and doesn't get bored during sets, if you have to do like 10 to 15 or maybe 15 to 20 reps, so be it. Set that as your rep range. What matters here is that you choose a rep range that is going to allow you to get through the workouts without burning yourself out fully, but also allow you to go to failure on all sets. So what I mean under failure, I mean mechanical failure, which means that you physically cannot do more reps with good form in that given set. Not in your workout, but in that given set. Because when it comes to actually doing your sets, you don't just want to go, as I said, until it burns. You want to take every single set as a separate individual little block of your training where you put in maximum effort within that little set, so that you definitely need to rest afterwards, okay? That is basically the intensity that we want to get to. We need to make sure that we are not only pushing until it burns, but until we physically cannot do more reps because our muscles literally aren't working anymore. Not just by the end of your workout, but every single set. You need to push yourself to a point where at the end of every single set, you need to rest. You need to rest at least a minute or 2 in order for you to feel recovered and go for the next set. You need to choose weights that you can do until mechanical failure every single set. So you need to have that rest period, that 1 to 2 minute rest period after every single one of your sets, because that is where your results are going to lie. Your results are not going to happen if you only push until it feels uncomfortable or it feels a little bit of a burn. They will only happen if you genuinely push your personal limits. So whenever it comes to going into the gym and whenever it comes to following your workouts, go into the gym with the intention of testing your limits. Have that childlike enthusiasm. And if you get to the end of the set and you're like, actually my rep range was 8 to 10 and I did 10 reps, but I feel like I can do more and learn from it. Which brings us to step number 5, which is to stay consistent, and progressively overload your lifts and learn from your previous sessions. This is exactly why I always tell my clients to track their workouts. We have a really, really cute app that we use where we can track our workouts, our reps, our sets, and how much weight that we have lifted, and we can learn from it. So every single time we do a workout and my clients do a workout, they can rate it with regards to the level of intensity that they have reached. So if it was only moderate intensity, they can learn from it, and I can tell them, hey, next week maybe do a little bit more weight on here and maybe do a little bit more reps in order to reach that mechanical failure. Because every single week, your goal should be to progressively overload your lifts by adding in either more weight, more reps, doing fuller range of motion, so going deeper into the squats, for example, making sure that you are going through like a full range of motion with your lateral raises, or slowing down the movement, creating more control and better mind to muscle connection. So your goal should be to add in either 1 to 2 reps on most of your sets every single week, or add in a little bit more weight every single week on most of your exercises, most of your sets. You don't have to increase the weight on all of your sets, because that is definitely going to be a lot of stress. If you actually train with intensity, you will not be able to increase your weight on all of your sets, but you should be aiming to push your limits and push your boundaries every single week, just trying to lift like 1 rep more or 0.5 kgs more every single week on most of your sets. That is how you're going to progress. And the reason why we need progressive overload is because our muscles adapt. Our body loves to adapt to things. Our body doesn't like change, and that is why you might feel sore in the beginning, but your body is going to adapt to that change over time when it realizes, hey, actually, like this is happening to us very, very frequently. So what we need to do in order to stop that adaptation and keep our body, progressing further and further, is increase the stimulus, which is your reps, your weight, your form, your control, etc., every single week, to give our body that stimulus to adapt to, and then the next week increase the intensity a tiny little bit in order for us to keep seeing those consistent results. Now, another thing that I want to mention here is, because I know that it can be quite frustrating to figure out what weights to start with, and this is a question that I get very, very often across socials and from my clients, like, what weight should I start with? The best way that you can determine this, and I'm not going to tell you what weight to start with because everyone's strength is very different, but the best way to determine this is basically by doing warm-up sets. So the sets and the reps that you have set for yourself within your workouts, those are going to be your working sets. But in order to determine where your strength is every single week, I want you to implement some warm-up sets where you test out the actual weight that you're going to be lifting by first doing a very light set just to get into the motions of the ocean, get your central nervous system and your body ready for the movement that you're going to be doing. And next, doing a heavier weight that you think is going to challenge you for about like 5 reps, seeing how that feels, resting a little bit afterwards, and seeing if you have to adjust upwards in order to get that level of intensity that we are going for, or if you can just stick to that weight for the rest of your set. Do some warm-up sets. And if you have any questions about this, by the way, because I know that we don't have time, I don't want to yap in your ears for too long, just drop them in the comments and I'll explain it. But basically, it's super important not to underestimate your strength and not to only push until it burns, and not to just choose weights because you feel like that is the right weight for you, but actually test your limits and see where your body's at, because I know this from experience, and you probably don't know this yet, and you probably don't believe this yet, but you are stronger than you think. Most people actually underestimate their strength by about 5 to 15 reps. So just saying. And last but not least, let's talk about cardio, because I feel like a lot of us think that cardio is going to get us toned. First things first, your calorie deficit, which you need in order to drop body fat and drop weight, is going to be mainly driven by your nutrition. So if you haven't checked out week 1 of becoming that girl version of yourself before summer, make sure that you check it out. Look for it on my channel. There is a whole podcast on how to set up your nutrition. But if you want to increase that calorie deficit a tiny little bit, do cardio and increasing your energy expenditure, because when it comes to calorie deficit, you can either reduce your food intake or increase your energy expenditure, or both at the same time. But again, nutrition is going to mainly drive your calorie deficit. If you want to increase your energy expenditure, I want you to take a step away from doing HIIT workouts, because the goal isn't to burn as many calories as possible within your training sessions, but to make it sustainable. And the goal with your cardio sessions should be to put as little stress on your body as possible, and to make sure that you can stay consistent with it so you don't burn out from doing cardio. If you are deciding to do cardio as a part of your training sessions, make sure that you do it at the end of your workout, because you want to use most of your energy that that is stored within your body to lift heavy weights, to get stronger and build your curves. And then afterwards, do your cardio at a moderate intensity and steady state. That is going to put your body under very little stress, and high intensity interval training can actually put your body under a lot of stress, which can actually burn you out and make you feel just, stressed, tired. We don't want that. We want to make sure that it's sustainable and that it's gentle on our body. And if you decide to do cardio, just start slow, okay? We don't need to go in with hour-long cardio sessions. 15 minutes of moderate intensity, steady state cardio 3 to 4 times a week is probably what you need in the beginning. And if you feel like you need to increase it, before you actually do it, check your nutrition, make sure that you're consistent. And second of all, make sure that you have already been doing that amount of cardio for 2 weeks, because your body takes time to adapt. And there you go. That is how you're going to build out your That Girl gym plan. That is going to help you get lean and toned for summer and keep that body composition all year round. And if you have any questions, please do let me know in the comments. But I just want to wrap things up with a couple of final reminders. First things first, remember, consistency is key. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the most Pinterest perfect workout routine. You just have to have a workout routine that you're actually going to want to stick to and that you can realistically stick to. Number 2, intensity and intention is your best friend, okay? Make sure that every single time you're in the gym, you're not just there to faff about, you're not half-assing your workouts, you're actually putting intention into every single one of your sets. The intention being to progressively overload your lifts and to get to mechanical failure on every single one of your sets. Number 3 is to remember to take rest days, super important, because you put in the hard work during your training sessions, but your body needs time to recover in order to implement those changes that are going to come from the hard work. So give yourself some time to rest. Make sure that those rest days are active. Go out for walks, stretch, maybe do some yoga, maybe do some Pilates on those days. It doesn't have to be a lifting session, but just make sure that you listen to your body and that you don't run yourself into the ground. Number 4, soreness does not equal progress, okay? We don't want to be sore every single time we train, because that just means that we are doing something wrong. We might be under fueling or we are just overtraining. So if you are constantly sore, even after, let's say, 2 weeks of you following the same workout plan, maybe it is time to dial back down the intensity and focus more on being intentional, focus more on your form, and focus on fueling yourself up for your sessions. And number 5, make sure that you're tracking your workouts, okay? In one way, shape, or form, just track it. If you track it on your notes, track the reps, track the sets, track the weights that you're lifting so you can see your progress over time. And trust me, even if in the beginning you do not see results, if you just stick to it and if you check your nutrition, again, go back to the previous week's episode if you do not know how to manage your nutrition and if you want to actually fuel yourself and feel absolutely amazing in your skin while getting results, go back and listen to that. But if you keep your nutrition in check, if you follow the plan and not your emotions, and if you just consistently show up for yourself, everything is going to fall into place, because small steps and consistent steps and taking that messy action is where it's all at. That is how you're going to see results. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency and showing up for yourself, because you know that if you follow the plan, you are going to see results. So follow the plan, not your emotions, and let's go and get these gains. And as I said, if you struggle figuring out what kind of workouts to do or you need a little bit of inspiration, I am going to link my Hourglass Body workout plan below that you can download for fully free. I have created this specifically to help you build a snatched waist and round glutes and feel incredible in your body. So follow that for 8 to 16 weeks and see the magic happen. Make sure that you're fueling, make sure that you're feeling yourself, wear some cute outfits. And with that, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for tuning in for this week's episode of the Ambitiously Aligned podcast, to your week 2 of becoming that girl version of yourself before summer. Don't forget to leave a comment down below for the girlies, because let's be real, this podcast is there for the girlies. And with that, have an absolutely amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next time.